Hi, I'm Scott L. Miller. Today on Sam IT, we're going to discuss Class A, B, and C networks. Actually, we're not. What we're going to say is they don't exist. Class networking, that is the certain address range for Class A networks with /8 subnet masks, that's 255.0.0.0. Class B, or /16, that's 255.255.0.0. And Class C, which is /24, or 255.255.255.0, were remnants of a world before 1993. 1993, think about that for a second, that's 24 years. In a few months, we're going to cross the quarter-century point to where that hasn't existed. In 1993, CIDR, or classless interdomain routing, was introduced and replaced the earlier class-based systems. So by some point in 1993, we simply didn't have classes. All of those numbers and those ranges and how they applied to these set, predefined classes of different sizes was gone. And today what we have is simply fluid networking, where we're able to use flexible subnetting to define different networks in arbitrary sizes as we need them. It's that simple. Those things have gone away, yet today we still see people and companies constantly talking about classful networkings. Well, I got a Class C. Well, you didn't. You may have gotten a /24, and that /24 may come from what used to be one of the pool of /24s that we used to refer to as the Class C pool, but that's a coincidence. It's not that you actually got a Class C. And just because you split up a Class C doesn't mean you're splitting up a Class C. Those are separate networks with no association to each other. And just because you want to have a /21 inside the old Class C range doesn't mean that you're merging previously separate networks. That is simply the network that you're creating. You have to get away from this feeling that the Class A, Bs, and Cs are there under the hood somewhere, because they create a lot of confusion, partially in terminology, but also in how we expect networks to interact. They just don't exist. And I can't state this enough, but for years, and I was one of these people. I came from the 1990s and was not well taught during the mid-1990s that classless had gone away and CIDR had replaced it. CIDR was kind of proposed as something new coming in the future that we could kind of work with. That was a bad presentation because it was already there and the class system was already gone. So many certifications at the time and educational institutions were focused on maintaining old material that a lot of that class learning, forcing people to memorize where different addresses fit into the scheme, was pushed just because teaching by rote was cheap and easy and made for hard tests questions, and so they kept it just to be lazy at the cost of people's education and understanding of the industry. Unfortunately, over the decades, some of that information continues to get repeated and creates miscommunication and misunderstanding of how IP addressing works today and has for a quarter of a century. So I hope that with that information, there's little more to know. You are armed now with understanding that you should never repeat Class A, Class B, Class C. They don't mean anything, and they will potentially convey incorrect information to people to whom you are speaking, and they may lead you to confusion by thinking things about your network that may or may not be true. And so it's best, like with everything in life, and especially in IT, semantics matter. Using correct names and correct descriptions and conveying correct information is important. Incorrect information will lead you to bad results in most cases. It may be subtle, it may be down the road, it may simply take things longer to figure out, but it's not beneficial. So we need to not repeat it, and we need to understand that our subnets define where our networks are totally. There is no additional outside influence from concepts like classing that play a role in defining how our networks are and how they are to behave. Thanks for joining me. I hope this was useful. I know this is a weird one that we hear so much, it's hard to believe it doesn't actually exist. So I expect lots of comments below, and I expect everyone to like and subscribe. And remember, you're always free to sponsor us on Patreon.